Hey Melavators, and welcome back to Melavate. My name is Cher, and today we are talking about some stuff, okay? I want to talk about being black in white spaces, basically code switching. So, here's a little secret. If you didn't know, black people, we've been code switching. We do it. We've been doing it for a while now. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what that is, why we do it, potential problems with it. I don't know. Let's see. Roll the intro. Okay, so let me get comfy real quick. Put my leg up a little bit. So, I went to school in Brooklyn. I went to elementary school, middle school, and high school in Brooklyn. Mostly black people. Yeah, mostly black people, mostly Hispanic people and Asian people. So that's really who I went to school with. Now, I didn't really, I know there was a post going on about like, when did you have your first black teacher? I had my first black teacher in like first grade. I usually had black teachers, rarely ever had a white kind of encounter. Most of my teachers were black or Hispanic, like I said. That's the community that's the community that I grew up in. So, going to college was a huge culture shock. I had never seen so many white folks in my life. Like, I'm not even gonna lie to you. My my first roommate was white. Most of my roommates were white. And it was always just an experience. You know, you walk into campus and it's like 2% black. That's kind of what Oswego was at. It was between like 2 and 5%. There were some people who were other and they didn't know what to do with those people. They were like, we don't know if you're black, you're white, what are you? So we're just gonna put you in other. So I went to a predominantly white institution, so PWI. And after I finished Oswego and I did all that, most of my teachers were now white, so that was new. I only had one black teacher my entire time in college. And then I went off to graduate school at Syracuse. Let me tell you. First of all, I'm gonna start off saying, white folks, I love y'all. Like, I don't got an issue. You know what I'm saying? My closest friends now, ironically, are white. And I met some really great white people at Syracuse. But, coming from someone who, like, my encounters with white people were always kind of just like, you know, going into Syracuse University, my first day, stepping into boot camp, bright-eyed and ready to roll, I walk into the classroom. Guess how many black people was in that class? 0. It was just me. So it was new and it was hard. Like, that summer, I really struggled because we had a summer boot camp and it was 6 weeks. There was nobody. Like, I was nervous. I was scared. And not scared as though like they're gonna like, KKK me, you know what I'm saying? Or like, lynch me or something like that. It wasn't that type of scared. It was more like we would talk about topics sometimes and it was just like, should I disagree with them? Because I do. And I don't want to say I do, because then what am I going to be if I get angry? Come on. I'm going to be the angry black woman in that class. If I call one of my white teammates out, then I'm being sensitive. So that's kind of what I navigated through. That's my experience. And it took me a while to kind of get that balance. I mean, I still do code switch with white people. I'm sorry, that's just something natural for me. And I think it's natural for a lot of black people. What is code switching exactly? So code switching is basically this. All right, so hanging out with my friends, I'm Caribbean and I'm black and stuff like that, you know that. Hanging out with my friends, I probably talk like this, I'm chilling, like I'm doing all this, my hair's popping, I'm living my best life, like, it's lit, it's brick. First of all, no one in my class knew what brick was. Side note. And then you go from that, that personality to, yeah, like, I love rock and roll. fans, and yeah, I've seen every single Star Wars, and yeah, I'm here, I'm ready, I'm excited, yeah, woo! That's code switching. So that's kind of diminishing your quote unquote blackness. And when I say blackness, that means whatever blackness means to you. So even though, blackness means to me something different than what it means to you. So this is not me judging Black people who love rock music or any of those things. That's cool. First of all, Black people made rock music, so it should be ours anyway. But it's really all in all just kind of like whoever you are, you kind of, mold it into the new white environment that you're in. So here's kind of like the dangers of that for me. One, because I was surrounded by so many white people, like 24/7 all the time, I oftentimes forgot who I was. Like, I would be like, do I really like this, or am I just saying that because this is what everyone around me is saying? I found myself like Googling things on the side that they were talking about and pretending that I knew what they were talking about, or just being like, oh yeah, that's so cool, yeah, awesome, woohoo, great. And on the reverse side of that, white folks, y'all don't really ask us what we like or genuinely care. Like, and this is not me coming, once again, not coming at my school, Syracuse. I had an okay experience. But I'm Caribbean, right? I'm Trinidadian. I'm from Brooklyn. Not once did anybody in that program ever really ask me about myself. Like, really ask me, like, who really are you? Or was curious enough to like find out or have those deeper conversations with me. That rarely happened, if ever. So whenever they would bring food to the school or something like that, pizza or whatever white American food they would bring, that was, they never really thought like, oh, Cher's here, she's like talked about Caribbean food. Let's see if we can like try to find a Caribbean local dish around here, or let's see we how can we implement her culture into our culture, into what we're doing, so we can make her feel included. No, that didn't happen at Oswego, and it didn't happen at Syracuse. So I found myself now having to relearn myself, and then also learn a new culture that I'm not really a part of, don't know much about, don't really feel that comfortable with. But if I don't do it, then I'm gonna stand out, because I was the only Black person. And then when you're the only Black person, for some reason, the burden to represent your entire people is on your back. So if I come up in there like, yo, my name is Cher, I'm from Brooklyn, it's lit. If I did that on my first day of class, what are they gonna think about of all Black people? How are they gonna think of all Black people? I met some white people in my life who had never encountered a Black person until they met me. So with all that pressure on myself, do you really think I'm gonna be like, I love steel pan, I love roti, I love doubles, bust up shut? Am I gonna present that part of myself to these people? No, hell no, because then it's gonna either go over their heads and they're gonna be like, oh, that's cool that you're from this, but 99% of us aren't, so why do we care? Which is basically how I felt. It was basically a huge slap in my face. It was a slap in my face almost every single day, walking through both of my campuses. So that's why Black people, especially on college campus, gravitate towards BSU, CSA. So BSU is Black Student Union, Caribbean Student Association. We try to seek out our people. Like, the first thing I did when I got to Oswego, no funny, I was like, where the Black people at? Where they at? Because I already knew, without even having experienced it, I already knew I was not going to be comfortable. I wasn't. And this is not to say that every white person is bad, every white person is this way. I'm not saying that. I can only speak from my experience. And like I said, these people weren't KKKing me. They weren't like, oh, they wasn't calling me the N-word. Nobody ever did that to me. But the microaggressions, it was there. The isolation, the feeling of loneliness, the burden, it was there. The mental, anxiety of who I am and who I should be was there. I was always stuck between share who they know and share who I really am. And that's the problem with code switching, because it gets lost. And it's so frustrating. Like, I know there's some white people who are gonna watch this video and be like, why y'all even code switching? Why are you doing that? Just be yourself. No. Black people are never allowed to be themselves, whatever that means. And that doesn't have to mean like the typical black person you think of, booty shaking, rap music. Like, that's only like 10% of who I really am anyway. I love a good twerk song. Ain't nobody stopping me. But it's just like, I just feel like everywhere black people go, it's like harder and harder to be ourselves. And we just feel like we need to conform, like I've been saying, to the environment that we're in, because we're usually, if not always, the minority. And we are too nervous to put ourselves out there. We're too scared to really stand our ground on who we are. I'm moving my hands a lot because I am passionate and I'm excited. But we are ashamed sometimes to really like be our full self because we don't want that backlash. I would hate for someone to be like, yo, you ghetto. Y'all, black people are ghetto. I would hate for someone to say that to me, especially a non-black person after encountering me. Or I don't want them to walk away and be like, damn, that's all black people like? Ooh. So you code switch. You fall in line. You like whatever music they put on. Half the time they will put on music, and I had no idea what they were playing. I was like, what is this? Confused. They would talk about food or going camping or what's the other thing they did? Seeing bands and yeah, we went to this band. Like, I never done that. And this is like, once again, not to say that black people don't do that. I just don't. That's just not my culture. I haven't experienced that. And I was an experience. Boom. I was so willing to learn their experiences and learn about them, but they weren't willing to learn about me, which is so unfortunate, because widening that gap of prejudice and racism, like, we're widening that gap. So I don't have the answers, okay? I'm not Sway. I don't have the answers. But all I know is that all I know is that it's important for both sides, whether it's black or Asian or Indian or whatever, and white people or non-minorities, to kind of bridge the gap. I can't even talk. Bridge the gap. White folks, do you know how important, how great it would have been? Like I said, if just reach out, learn the culture, like, and not like appropriate it. Pause. Don't try to make it your own, but actually learn, ask questions, be curious, implement it in your day-to-day life, like, especially if you're around a lot of, black people. Incorporate it, like, oh, hey, Cher, like, I heard that you love soca music, like, I Googled it and I discovered these artists, like, what do you think? That's all I would have needed to get through undergrad and grad school, is for one person to literally Google my culture and be interested, get to know me. It didn't happen. It's unfortunate. Like I said, didn't happen / rarely happened. There's some of my friends that, I'm sorry if you're watching this video and you are one of those people that that went to school with me, or whether at Oswego or Syracuse, and you're offended. I'm sorry. I can only speak my truth. This is not me saying that I hate you. I don't hate anyone. This is just my experience and what I've been through and how it affected me. Because these are things that I took home with me. Not something that I was able to leave at school. So I know I just got all deep and serious. So I'm going to try to lighten up the mood a little bit and just say, learn the culture. Learn it. And, try to embrace it. Ask questions, appropriate questions. Not like, I had a teacher at a Syracuse, side note, who asked me, is that a wig? You just change your hair so much. Don't do that. Don't do that. No. Ask appropriate questions and learn. And that's all I have today at Melavate. Keep elevating, keep elevating, keep asking questions, keep uniting, because that's what's going to get us through. Bye.